So when you install a distro, there are probably applications that you find yourself having to go install. And they're always the same applications over and over and over again. Now, these applications are probably different for everyone because we all don't use the same stuff, but there are probably quite a few applications there that overlap for the vast majority of us. So today what I want to do is talk about 5 applications that every distro should have installed by default, but usually don't. So let's go ahead and talk about all of that stuff. But before we do, if you leave a thumbs up on this video, it would be really appreciative. It'd really help the channel. So let's go ahead and jump in. The first one is, I think, the only one that I really care about on this whole list, and that's Vim. Vim should be installed on every distro by default, and it's not. Like, there are hardly any distros out there that install Vim by default, and I'm like, why? They have Vi installed. No one uses Vi. That's a relic from yesteryear. Okay, there are probably like 3 or 4 people that still use Vi, but the vast majority of people use Vim because it's improved. It's right in the name. So install Vim by default. I'm not asking for NeoVim. I know a lot of people don't use NeoVim. They prefer standard old Vi improved. But oh man, just give me Vim by default so that when I have to change something, when I first install something, don't have to go first install Vim in order to actually change it, because I don't want to use Nano. I don't want to use Nano. And the vast majority of people, I think, don't want to use Nano. They want to use Vim. Okay, so maybe not the vast majority of people, but my friends all want to use Vim. And if you want to be my friend, you want to use Vim too, because I'm not friends with Nano users. That'd be horrible. I'm just kidding. All beside the point. Have Nano for those weirdo Nano users, but also install Vim. It's like 300 megabytes or whatever it is to install. I don't even know. It's not that much. It doesn't take much space on the ISO. Install Vim by default. It definitely should be there. Okay, so the next one is less. The rest of these are really less important, but they're all things that I think make a lot of sense. So the next one is Htop. I know Top is installed, but Htop is better. I mean, it's by far better. It has colors. It has more features. It has the ability to see your CPU usage in a graph, and it's not just a white plain text blob of stuff on a terminal screen. It's easier to read. It's better in every aspect other than Top. Now, don't get me wrong, Top is fine, but Htop probably about the same size in terms of what you have on an ISO. So install Htop. We're all going to do it anyways, so just do it by default and save us some time. So Htop is another one. The next one is Codecs and VLC. Now, VLC is an optional thing here, but I would prefer to have it installed. But really, every distro should install Codecs. I know there are legal reasons why I think distros like Fedora and OpenSUSE don't install them, but I don't care about those things. I really don't. There has got to be a way for you to make the installation of Codecs automatic or something, whereas I don't have to go search out how to install the damn things. Now on OpenSUSE, it's not hard, but it is a long, drawn-out process. It requires you to install OPI and then OPI Codecs, and then it takes like 5 or 6 minutes because Zypper is slow to install all the codecs that you need. And then you need to do a reboot and actually to get all those things to actually take effect a lot of the time. So install codecs during installation. A lot of distros do. Ubuntu gives you the option during install of whether or not you want to install them. You can't tell me that Ubuntu doesn't have the same legal problems that OpenSUSE or Fedora does. Now, OpenSUSE, fine, it's a German company, so they have to deal with European regulations. So you can make the argument that it's because of the European Union or whatever the argument is. I don't really care. I'm not a lawyer. Fix it. It would make it so much easier, because I guarantee you everyone at some point who uses Fedora or OpenSUSE or any of the other distros who decide not to do this has gone to try to play a video in VLC or play a song in Rhythmbox or something, and come across a situation where they just can't play it because they don't have the project for codecs and they have to go searching for how to do it. It's a mess. It's not user friendly. So install codecs by default. It'd make everybody happier. The next one I think is also really important, but doesn't really affect me because I'm an AMD guy. But I think that every distro should have an easy graphical way of installing GPU drivers. Manjaro does this really well. I think that Ubuntu actually also does it. It's been so long since I've used Ubuntu. I think that there's a way in Ubuntu to install drivers through a graphical interface. I seem to remember that. A lot of other distros don't. Like OpenSUSE makes it astonishingly hard to do this, and I don't know why. Like, why do I should not have to go mess around with YaST to do this. YaST is a great piece of software. I think that it does a lot of powerful stuff, but it is not user-friendly. Like, it's like they went to the KDE Plasma School of Design for settings panels, or maybe it's probably the other way around. Like, they seem to be based on each other. They're overly complex. You can't figure out what's what or where's what, and it's just hard to do. If you want to install the most recent version of like NVIDIA drivers on OpenSUSE, it's even harder to do. And a lot of distros are actually like that, where you kind of have to go searching for how to install the NVIDIA drivers. You shouldn't have to do that. If you have an NVIDIA card, it should be assumed that you want the proprietary drivers. It should be able to see that you have a NVIDIA GPU in your machine during install and say, hey, would you like the proprietary drivers? It doesn't have to be on by default, but it should ask, and if the user says yes, install those damn things. This is not rocket science, so I really do think that it should be easier to do, preferably during installation of the distro. The last one is very nerdy and not something that everyone would use, but I think that everyone who uses the terminal probably uses Git, and yet, can you name a distro that installs Git by default? There's probably one or two. The vast majority of them don't. Like Git's something that you have to install. It shouldn't be. It should be installed by default. Everyone's probably going to use it who's open up a terminal. It doesn't take a lot of size. Install it by default. It'd be so much better. I would also throw in wget and curl, but I don't, I can see the reasons why you don't want to put those on there. I mean, but still, I think Git should be on every distro by default. Add those 5 things, and there's so fewer things that I have to install during installation, and I'd be very happy. So I think that every distro should have those 5 things installed at least by default. Obviously, there's probably quite a bit more there, LibreOffice and things like that, but those are the things that I find myself installing on every single distro, and I'm always constantly shocked by the fact that they're not there in the first place. So do you guys have applications you think should be installed by default? If so, leave those in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you. You can follow me on Mastodon. That link will be in the video description. You can support me on Patreon at patreon.com/thelinuxcast. I'm raising money for a brand new camera, so if you want to go help me out, you can hit me up over on Patreon or YouTube or Ko-fi, because this thing here will not stop unfocusing on me. I can't get that focus to change. It's a really stupid thing. It's all Windows' fault, by the way. I explained it on the podcast. Listen to that if you will. Anyways, the dog wants out, so that means this is the end for this video. Thanks everybody for watching. Thank everyone who supports me on Patreon and YouTube. You guys are all absolutely amazing. Without you, the channel just would not be anywhere near where it is right now. So thank you so very much for that. If you too would like to support me, patreon.com/linuxcast, like I said, or YouTube, Ko-fi, those two work as well. Or you can head on over to the store, which is available at shop.thelinuxcast.org. There you'll find all sorts of awesome merchandise, all the proceeds for which goes towards making more Linux content for you guys. So thank you so very much if you've done that. If you haven't already, go over and check out the hats and the t-shirts and stickers and all sorts of cool stuff. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks everybody for watching. I'll see you next time.